Okay, so today we are at the Rutherford County Historical Society, and we are getting ready to meet with Frank Caperton III, the president of the Historic Society, and he has found out some things about Paul and Bianca's home, and he's ready to share that with us. So come on. Frank, good to see you.
Good morning, Steve. Good to see you.
How's it going?
Y'all come on in.
Okay, so go ahead and tell us about this house. I know nothing about it, so just if you don't mind, give us sort of a background. You said Ransom Schoolhouse. Was it always a school? Just tell us everything you know about it.
Steve, we're not sure exactly when this home was built. We think the 1840s or 1850s because the records were burned. The deeds and all were burned, or we should say lost or destroyed during the Civil War. Huh? The most substantive evidence we had goes back to 1879, but the style of the house lends itself to think that it's actually a bit older than 1879. Regardless, these beautiful floors are original. They are original, at least in this foyer, in this room behind us. But this house was in the Carney family, the Spence family, several prominent Rutherford County families. Then more recently, it was in the Ransom family. When I say more recently, that'd be the end of the 19th century, the 1890s. We had a pair of sisters. In fact, these sisters are shown right over here. You had Belle and Eliza Ransom, who ran what was called a subscription school here from the 1890s to about 1930 or so, give or take a little bit.
One of the other things I was going to ask is, so it was always a school, we think, or we just don't really know?
Not always.
Okay.
It was a school for about 40 years, 35 to 40 years.
Well, if you don't mind, let's look in here too. I want to check out some of these other rooms. This is, Frank, just so you know, and I don't know if you spent any time down at our house at 422. If not, I'd love to have you come visit. But this layout is nearly identical to what we think was the original house down there. I think this is slightly smaller, but not by much. Certainly the depth is smaller, but the length is pretty close to the same. Even the placement of the fireplaces and things. I see you've got it set up as kind of a library here. Do you know anything about this room at all?
But when the Ransom sisters had their school here, they had two classrooms. One that we'll visit here in a moment, and one was here. Their living quarters was right behind us. They had an outhouse, but they had an attached kitchen, which was very rare back then. So this was a classroom as well. Today we use it as a book room. We have publications that range from 50 cents, to the $35, $40 range. This is one of the few ways that we actually fund the Rutherford County Historical Society is through the sale and use of our publications.
Now, if you don't mind, tell us a little bit about the Rutherford County Historical Society, sort of how you came to be, what you guys do. And I think a lot of people, don't be offended, but I think a lot of people don't know you all are here. And
That's true.
we want you to have the opportunity to tell people like what a wonderful resource this is and how folks in the community can not only just come and see this for themselves, but you do have resources available to help folks.
Well, Steve, the Rutherford County Historical Society was founded in 1971. Currently we're up to almost 500 members. All of us are volunteer. None of us get paid a penny. It's only $25 a year to join for the entire family. Every penny of that and the sale of our publications, anything else that we have, goes to promote and preserve our local history. It goes nowhere but here. When we say preserve our local history, it's not only through the preservation of stories and books and such like that, but it's also to help with research for people such as yourself when you approached me just recently. Take you to our 1920s schoolroom.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
Steve, we set up this classroom to resemble about a 1925, 1928 schoolroom. People of our generation grew up watching the Ingalls on Little House on the Prairie. This is an original slate board.
It's an analog iPad.
It's an analog iPad. And of course the students, you can see this is as original as it comes, authentic.
Check this out. This is an old classroom. This is where little kids used to go to school. And Frank was telling us, see this thing? There's little pieces of ink in here. So you know how you were using that pen earlier to draw? Back then they would put this ink in there and they'd add water and they'd heat it up on the stove and then you would have to dip it in there to write. So Frank, tell us what the Rutherford County Historical Society was able to find out about the Paul and Bianca's house on 422.
Well, the Rutherford County Historical Society board member Gwen Boyd was able to go out using places like the Rutherford County Archives, the Register of Deeds office, and internet researches. And, well, you think about it, there was a fellow that was named Captain Edwin Arnold who built homes very similar to the Ransom Schoolhouse, very similar to 422 North Academy Street. He built a lot of houses that were very similar before, during, and of course after the Civil War. And so they're all similar. So you make assumptions when you're in history. You can make the assumption that he may have built this home, he may have built that one, he may have built one you referred to on Spring Street.
Well, listen, is there anything else that you'd like to tell everyone? Just maybe share with everyone your website, are you guys on Facebook, that sort of thing, just sort of any information, or how they can reach the Historical Society, or how they can come down here and visit and see the schoolroom.
Well, thank you, Steve. The best way to reach us is through our website, which is rutherfordtnhistory.org. And by the way, that website, we have almost 2,000 stories about Rutherford County history. Of course, our Facebook page, just go to Facebook and look for Rutherford County Historical Society. We'll pop up there. You can send us emails, which are, of course, linked through the website, Facebook as well. Also on Saturday mornings, we have a lot of fun here on Saturday mornings. We call it Coffee and Conversation.
Well, Frank, thanks for having us today. I really appreciate it. And just do us a favor. Make sure as we're doing our rehab down the street that y'all come visit us and see how things are going.
Well, thank you for helping us preserve and promote our local history.
Very good. And thank you for joining us today.